Sit down comfortably and relax, inhaling and exhaling, and constantly aware of the whole body. Use inhaling and exhaling as your base. If you are practicing the 4 foundations of mindfulness, you will simultaneously be aware of the mind and the whole body. Whichever of the 4 foundations of mindfulness you use as your base, remember to always be aware of the body and mind simultaneously. We use the base to practice our mindfulness, not just for staying at the base all the time. We cultivate effort by always being aware whenever the mind strays from the base and attaches to one of the 2 wrong paths, either straying to sensual pleasure or over-focusing and controlling the mind to stay at the base. Just know when it does this, and bring the mind back to the base. Each time you bring the mind back to the base, one single moment of mindfulness has arisen. With effort, the more you bring the mind back to the base, the more mindfulness will accumulate. This effort will cause right mindfulness to arise spontaneously, and right understanding will lead us to the right way of practicing and the right result because we know how, when, and why we practice. In addition, when our practice is either good or bad, we just know it without judging and bring the mind back to the base. Don't worry about arising phenomena or contact. Just make sure you are aware of the mind that strays from the base. The critical point is to cultivate the mind to be stable and a knower mind. This is the practice. We need to make sure the mind has a good quality in order to practice vipassana. We also need to distinguish between deep concentration and mindfulness. We're not practicing to attain tranquility, calmness, or happiness, but to awaken the mind and to be detached from sensation in order to be a knower mind. Then it will be able to see the arising, existence, and disappearance of phenomena. Contact at the 6 sense doors is a good opportunity for us to train the mind in the 10 perfections. The 10 perfections help the mind to have a good quality and to be free from attachment. Contact, either bad or good, is a good chance to see how the mind reacts to it. Then wisdom can see the 3 marks of existence of each phenomena. With the 10 perfections, the mind often sees the 3 marks of existence. This will cause the mind to clearly understand the true nature of the body and mind until it fully accepts the 3 marks of existence. Then the mind will abandon craving, and all causes of suffering and permanent happiness, or freedom, will arise in the mind. When we practice, we need to be aware whenever there is contact at the 6 sense doors. All the hindrances and obstacles will try to block us on the path to enlightenment, especially sense objects, which cause sense pleasure, will trap our mind and we will cling to them and turn away from practice. A lot of people are obsessed with sense pleasure, which becomes self, and they cling to it, believing that the sense objects will give them permanent happiness. Later they will suffer and experience dissatisfaction, because they don't know that everything, all phenomena, follow the 3 marks of existence. We need to train the mind to follow the middle path in order to free it from suffering. First, we need to cultivate the 4 foundations of mindfulness until mindfulness is strong enough to be stable at the base without straying to either of the 2 wrong paths. When mindfulness is fully cultivated, right concentration will arise. The mind will be stable and objectively observe phenomena from the base. Then right concentration, or knower mind, will cause wisdom to see the 3 marks of existence of phenomena. When right concentration, or knower mind, arises, the mind will no longer be running here and there, searching for experience. It will be objectively observing from the base of mindfulness. This is the quality of mind that we need to cultivate to practice vipassana. Whoever is listening to this Dhamma talk, let's practice together now. Let's start by picking one of the 4 foundations of mindfulness as the base or the meditation object you feel comfortable with or which can cause mindfulness to arise more often. You may use inhalation and exhalation or the rising and falling of the abdomen, and may sit on a cushion or a chair, whichever you prefer. Keep the body, back and neck, straight without straining. Simply relax and observe the whole body sitting, inhaling and exhaling, without straining. Whenever the mind strays from the base, just know it and gently bring it back to the base. Don't be upset or frustrated, but simply bring it back. If you like or dislike what is happening, just know it and bring it back to the base. Whatever is happening, just bring the mind back to the base until it recognizes and remembers the base and mindfulness arises by itself. Now let's practice for 10 minutes. Sometimes mindfulness is absent and we cling to thoughts for a long time. Just be aware of this and bring the mind back to the base. This type of mistake, clinging to thoughts, helps us to train in mindfulness. Whichever base we use to practice and cultivate mindfulness, don't forget the body and mind or the 5 aggregates. When we practice mindfulness, the mind is working at its job. When the mind strays from the base 100 or 1,000,000 times, just be aware and bring it back to the base. Now let's practice again for 10 minutes. Remember to relax and keep coming back to the base. If your back and neck are bent down, that means your mindfulness is absent. Just come back to the present moment at the base and sit up straight without straining. Cultivate effort and patience as you practice. Be aware and patient as defilements arise. Put effort into your mindfulness, return to the base, and relax. Right now, while you're listening to my voice, are you also aware of your body and mind? Now let's practice again for 10 minutes. When you sit down and meditate and the mind sinks down to deep absorption jhana, it becomes blank and attached to this blank state. Just know that this has happened and bring the mind back to the base, aware of the whole body sitting. If you're still not aware of anything, Just open your eyes to see things around you and observe the body and mind. When you open your eyes, there are many distractions which you can use to train the mind instead of attaching to the blank state. If the 5 hindrances, sensual pleasure, ill will, sloth, and torpor, restlessness and worry, and doubt, arise and upset the mind, this is an opportunity for us to practice and see how the mind is reacting to them. Practice with patience and effort when the 5 hindrances arise and cultivate the 10 perfections. Now we'll practice again with mindfulness for 10 minutes. Be continuously aware of the whole body and mind, the whole body sitting and the whole body inhaling and exhaling. Whenever thoughts arise, just know it, and when the mind strays from the base and attaches to thought, just bring it back to the base. But if the mind is stable and objectively observing from the base, just separate the mind from thought and see the 3 marks of existence of thought. Whenever there is contact at the 5 physical sense doors that causes the mind to think, just see it and see the 3 marks of existence. Or if the contact causes liking or disliking or craving to arise, just objectively observe and see the 3 marks of existence. Be mindful and see if the contact caused the mind to jump to the 6 sense doors and become attached to external objects. Just know it and go back to the base. When we practice mindfulness and go back to the base more often, the mind will remember the base and phenomena, which will cause mindfulness to become stronger and the mind to be stable and objectively observed from the base. At this time, the mind will separate itself from sensations and the 6 sense doors. At that moment, there is a knower mind and the object known. This is called separating the mind from the body and mental states. When the mind is able to separate itself from sensation, it will see cause and effect or the arising of phenomena, and when the mind objectively observes from the base, it will notice the contact that causes it to think. Then the knower mind will see the 3 marks of existence, impermanence, suffering and no self, of phenomena. This is called the practice of vipassana meditation. Now let's practice for 10 minutes to separate the mind from the body in mental states, and to see the contact that causes the mind to think with the arising of phenomena, and experience the three marks of existence of phenomena. Let's relax and be aware of the whole body sitting, inhaling and exhaling, and the mind observing. If there is pain in your back or legs, just objectively observe it. If the three mental states, feeling, perception and mental formation, or thought arise, objectively observe them from the base and see the three marks of existence. Relax. Now we're going to move the mind around the body. Slowly move the mind to your forehead, then to your nose, to your chin, then to your chest. Observe that the mind is able to move and follow your orders. Observe if the mind is quick to move or if you have to force it to move. Then move the mind to your belly button. Then move it to your knee, to your feet or toes. Then feel the mind in your feet. Then slowly move the mind back to your belly button. Then to the chest. Then relax and be aware of the whole body sitting. We're moving the mind around the body, but the body is still sitting in the same posture. This means that the mind and the body are separate, not the same aggregate. This is called separating the mind from the body. Now be aware of the whole body sitting and take a deep breath. Take more and more until your chest is open and then hold it. Now release it and relax. Repeat one more time, take a deep breath. Hold it for a while and then release it and relax. Move the mind to your hands and open them above your knees. Now make a tight fist. Tense the whole body and then release it. Repeat one more time. Tense the whole body and then release it to refresh it. Thank you for practicing with us. I hope this guidance will help you to gain right understanding so that you can practice by yourself in the future. May Dhamma protect you to lead your life with mindfulness and wisdom. Anumodana. Sadhu. 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 Trisikkha Insight Meditation Center, Plant City, Florida.